All right, Liz, how have you been making out during this crazy pandemic, quarantine? How's life going?
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me on, first of all.
You're welcome.
This is a real honor. I'll be honest, better than I thought. With this whole pandemic, no one knew what to expect. I think no one really prepared for it, but I just made a quick pivot and shift and have just continued to expand and grow my education while the pandemic continued, while I wasn't able to work with clients in person and shifted to the virtual online space.
Got it.
But it's been a ride, but I am also grateful for it because I think it's definitely pushed me. It pushed us all in different ways to get creative, get resourceful.
Totally. And what did your business look like before the pandemic, and what does it look like now? So you shifted online, and was it exclusively online? Like, how did that all work for you the last couple months?
Yeah, prior to COVID, in-person sessions, some small group training, and then when COVID happened, it was virtual classes. I was working with a studio to do virtual classes 4 times a week. I have a videographer friend that was like, hey, why don't we film some stuff to put out there for like an on-demand, downloadable workout set, which I did. That was a lot of fun. So that's posted on Vimeo. And I picked up more online, coaching clients. So while I'm still doing in-person, in homes, outdoor, while I don't have a space just yet, it's just added a lot of value, I think, to my services, what I have to offer for people.
Wow. Okay. So why don't we start with this too? So why don't you give everybody just like a breakdown of, how you started in the industry, what you do, and kind of what that all looks like.
Sure.
And how you got into fitness in the first place,
okay.
Right?
Long story, but I'm trying to make a long story short.
No, let's make it long. We got time.
Okay, so I actually don't have an athletic background. I didn't play sports growing up. Middle school, high school, had zero interest, honestly. I was the art student.
Okay.
So art and music, I was in the orchestra, did a little bit of theater stuff, like total art nerd.
Now you look very artsy, I have to say. I love it. I love the red hair, the tattoos. You're very artsy.
I guess that just lives on, yeah. So art nerd, I went to school for fashion design. I went to Rhode Island School of Design. That's what I thought I wanted to do. Of course, who really knows what they want to do at 18?
Nobody.
Yeah. School was definitely a struggle. So I grew up in a small town, Pennsylvania. It's a town called York, PA. It's about 3 hours from where we are here in Jersey. And, it was great, sheltered lifestyle, but not exposed to a lot of things. And also kind of when you're good at something, you're like the big fish in the small pond, right? So when you go to... Like I went to RISD, and now it's like I'm with all these amazing art kids from all over the world in this space, and I just didn't find my footing. I didn't feel like I felt in. I was already a very introverted person to begin with, and I knew nobody going there. So it was definitely a challenge I was not prepared for, because it was like, okay, now you're in this whole other ballpark, and it's like you really have to step up your game. You're with all these other kids are doing amazing things, and you kind of have like this as we all do, imposter mindset.
Sure.
Right? So I struggled through school, and I kind of took that struggle, internalized it, and turned it into what could I control in my life, and that was my weight. And my weight plummeted. So I really struggled through school with anorexia, bulimia, just a lot of abuse, negative body image. And, I graduated school being like 100 pounds, and I'm 5'7". Wow. So really coming from like a negative space with that. But, you're in a certain industry that kind of perpetuates that too. Like the fashion industry is what I was preparing to be in, and then eventually in after school. So I graduated school, went into the fashion industry, was in it for about 8 years, working for a company outside of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and then eventually in New York. But
and during this, are you still dealing with the anorexia, the bulimia? You're still
100%. Like just not eating, and then purging the food and using laxatives, just totally destroying my body. Didn't really know that's what I was doing. I mean, you do have some suspicion, of course, when you're abusing yourself like that it's not healthy. But it's then how do you get out of that? Like you're kind of trapped in it.
What is the perception when you're going through something like that in your own mind?
What is your
Like how are you viewing that? Do you
Yeah.
think that it's something that's are you viewing it as this is a normal thing or this is necessary? Like what is how does your mind actually process that?
You start to see yourself as you start to identify as being the skinny girl. Like it almost became who I was. I'm the super skinny girl.
Right.
Actually, when I was in fashion, like for one semester, I did a job in New York City, an internship job, and I was the girl they like put the outfits on before they would send them down the runway. They're like, I was like that. I was like a
Right.
hanger. So they're like, oh, let's try figure out the outfits on Liz, and then they put them on the runway girls. But what we kind of identify as like, oh, I'm this super skinny girl, and I have to kind of keep that way, right? Like this is just, it becomes a part of your brain,
Right.
right? And then you don't know how to get out of it either because you're so closed into this restrictive life of what you can and cannot do that you've created these rules for yourself.
Right.
So I couldn't do much of anything, socialization when you're trying to avoid eating becomes very limited. It becomes very weird too. You become like the weird person because you're not eating. It's, oh, I'm not hungry. I already ate. Hiding food, weird things.
Right.
Weird things that become habits. But anyway, where were we going?
Yeah, sure. So when and also too, just for me to, because I always wanted to understand, eating disordered eating, a little bit more, right? So I'm trying to understand how the mind is working when you're in that state, right? Because now someone like you who is so far on the other end of it, right? Like you're strong, you're throwing weights around, right? And I want to get into that transition and how that worked for you. But while you're in that, when you look in the mirror, are you saying I need to lose more weight, I need to get skinnier, or is it just kind of like this is the norm and this is just who I am, this is what I do? Is that just a normal part of your process?
Once you get skinny or whatever, you start to just try and want to maintain that. You get kind of obsessed with how your clothes fit or being certain sizes or hitting a certain number on the scale, seeing that number on the scale either stay the same or drop. I became obsessed with like certain markers in I like to see my hip bones, and if they weren't there that day, kind of throws off your mindset, or you're going to walk extra that day, you're going to eat less, and you just kind of, your day becomes obsessive with what you're putting in your body and then how you're moving. And nothing else takes priority. It's like that's your priority,
right,
which really is fucked up.
Yeah.
And it definitely takes a toll on not only your body but your relationships too.
Right. How so?
I feel like I did not make many relationships in college and post just because you're so, like I said, restricted and limited in what you do socially, but also how you think.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So then you're in the fashion industry, and we were talking about how you made your way into fitness. So move on from there.
I'm in the fashion industry. I was working in New York City for several different companies, freelancing. Toxic environments, it's how hard can you work, how late can you stay, constant deadlines, how often can you skip lunch? Like it's not just, it's everybody doing it in that design area. It's just kind of like a badge of honor, you know?
Right.
And I was still living in Jersey, so it's a back and forth, very difficult lifestyle because you're taking the train up to New York City. You don't know when you're going to get home. You got to deal with the commute. You got to deal with the stress of the deadlines, the bullshit, the corporate bullshit. It was just, I knew, I was like, how can I do this forever? Like I would get on that train and be like, fuck, is this my life for the next 20 years? I don't think I could do it. So there came a point where one freelance job ended, and I was just like, you know what? I just need a break. Mm-hmm. And it was around a holiday time. I got a job at Lululemon.
Okay.
And I was like, I'll just do this for a season.
How long ago was this?
This was got to be 2014.
Okay.
Yeah. And to that point, fitness for me was a way to control my weight, right? So when I'm in school, I can limit how much I eat. I can go to the gym. But when you're in the real world, you don't have as much free time, and you have like real world responsibilities. So it becomes a little bit harder. Mm-hmm. But I was obsessed with, of course, cardio.
Okay.
I remember getting to the gym at 5 a.m. on the dot so I could get my cardio in and then run home, shower, get the train, get to the city,
You must miss that like crazy.
I can't believe I did it.
Right.
And then on the weekends, it's like double classes, like back to back. It's just like an obsessive destructive path. But you don't really realize it at that time until someone educates you, right?
Right. Totally.
Not having and taking double classes, but being like, why do I still not look the way I want to look? You know, and I didn't realize what I had to do until much later. So I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, it's okay. So you were saying that you were doing cardio, and so now you're living in Jersey. You were hating the commute. You had a little bit of a break. So now you're focused on fitness, and you're doing double sessions and whatnot. So then, how did that lead you into, changing your training and then also getting into the industry?
Yeah. So I had this job at Lululemon, which is awesome retail place to work if you need like a retail job. They're super like life work balance. They kind of expose me to, self-growth.
Okay. How so? Like programs and stuff like that, or just management?
They do actually put a lot of stock into growing their people.
Okay.
You have team events. They send you to self-growth events if you're with the company long enough. They want to see you goal setting. Like because they're at fitness. Lululemon is fitness based, so it's all about like the goal setting. But they want you to do that too within your own life.
Right.
And it's a great exposure to all the other local fitness people because they want you to go take classes. They want you to socialize. They want you to be friendly with all these people. They want you to wear the clothes while you're out. And that's really how I got to know so many people in this local area too in the fitness industry. But it also, expanded my mind. I got to try all these different types of workouts I never would have tried before. So of course it's like trying everything at first.
Right.
Absolutely everything from CrossFit to Megaformer, yoga, like anything I could possibly take because they want you to take it. They reimburse you. It's a great
okay.
trade-off.
Yeah, totally.
For working there. And
are you still dealing with the eating disorder at this point?
Well, no, kind of prior to yes, I guess. Prior to this, though, I did start working with a trainer who introduced me to strength training.
Okay.
I'd walk by in the gym. I'd walk by all the machines. Don't know how to use them. Totally intimidating. No, thank you. I don't know what to do.
Right.
I'll just go over there to the stair mill. But he introduced me to the machines and then eventually to, dumbbells, barbell, and it started to change my body in ways that I was like, whoa, this is what I wanted that I thought I could get by starving,
Right, sure.
So I started to feel better, started to look more how I wanted to look with like, some curves. And then it was like, okay, well, how do I eat so I can have the energy to do this and also get more results? So it was I was so curious. I remember when I would go to sessions with this trainer, I would come with like a little notepad full of questions for him. Mm-hmm. And I read all these questions and try to ask him during my session about everything from like nutrition to the training. And I was probably like the most annoying client ever because he'd be like, just shut up and do the work.
No, that's like an ideal client. What are you talking about?
It is, but I also kind of feel like he was like, let's just do what we're.
Yeah.
I don't think he had as much patience for that. But yeah, I just got so hungry for more knowledge, and I liked how my body was changing. People noticed the transformation and the change, and they're like, "What are you doing?" Like, even now, I have people reach out on social media that will find me from like high school or college, and they're like, "What the fuck? Like, what happened to you?" Because I was so skinny.
Wow.
And such a different person, and fitness really totally transformed me inside and out.
Wow. And so was that transition for you from, skinny, dealing with the anorexia, the bulimia, was that just the introductory to strength work and seeing your body change? Was that what did it for you? What kind of broke you out of that cycle? Or was there other work that you had to do? Or was that really like the thing that sparked you to start heading in the other direction, in a healthier direction?
I think it definitely catapulted. Also getting out of the fashion industry, that environment, having more time for work-life balance, self-care, like I was exposed to at Lululemon, and being like, no, this is okay. It's okay to take time for yourself. Like you should be doing self-care things.
Focus on you.
Yeah, right. Where almost before it was like selfish to do things that took time for me. That's what I felt.
Right.
That's not. It's a mindset.
Right.
That you have to change.
That's a good point that I want to expand on for a second, because, and I'm sure you deal with this too, right? How many people, will come to me or come to you or any trainer and say that, I don't have the time to focus on myself because of work or because of the kids or and they think that they're actually being selfish by taking advantage of, hiring a trainer or whatever, or spending time on themselves. But in reality, it's one of the most selfless things that you can actually do, because now if you are developing yourself physically, mentally, you're spending that time to develop as a human being, now you could be a better father, a better husband, wife, mother, sister, brother, whatever, right? Because now you are in a much stronger, healthier mindset, and you feel better, you have more confidence, you have more energy, you have more desire to do things. So in reality, you're opening up so many other doors to get better. That's going to help you become better in your personal life with your relationships and all that stuff. And I think that it's important to expand on that. Like you just said, you thought that you were being selfish by focusing on yourself. And so you were working around the clock, and you had this unhealthy relationship and mindset when it came to food, that it led to you, going down this unhealthy hole, right? So I just wanted to expand on that, because I think that's a really important point for people to understand. People that are listening to this that might be saying to themselves, I don't have the time to work out. I don't have the time to meal prep. I don't have the time because I need to be there for my kids or my wife. If you want to really be there, then you have to focus on this. It's a priority. It's a necessity, right?
100%. I mean, I think somebody else said on one of your podcasts that what you schedule gets done, right? You have to put it into your schedule, write it down, so you can cross it off your list. You have to make it just as important as everything else that you put in your schedule. I think my parental upbringing, my parents are very hardworking, and I think that's just something that I didn't see them do a lot of self-care when I was younger. And I think just because they had 3 kids and, they're trying to support the family and get shit together, keep things afloat. But I think that I took that a little too far, you know?
Well, I think it was also a different generation too. Yeah. Like, I know my parents weren't going to the gym, and their parents definitely weren't. So it's funny how, I think we're so connected now, and we're probably busier now, like, even though, the family responsibilities haven't changed, right? But it's like you have these other responsibilities with work and all these things. So, I think that as we have evolved now, our generation is so much more, conscious of this stuff. But it's like, it wasn't the norm back then. Fitness, it wasn't even like a known thing. But now it's like we know the science, we know the developmental stuff that occurs when you take care of yourself physically. But then some people just don't make the time to do it and structure it. Yeah,
I think you're 100% right. And generationally, we have more. I feel like we have a little bit more freedom and choice now. Like, right. I haven't had kids to this point. I'm in my mid 30s. I don't know if I will have children, but I almost feel like if I would have had them earlier, it's just because I would have thought I was supposed to have them.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's just the expectation and what you do. Mm-hmm. And I think our generation, especially with everything going on in the world, it's like, well, wait, do we really want to do this? Can we really actually support this? Or is this just something that everyone else is telling us we need to do?
Right. Doing it because it's just a norm.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like I gave myself a great gift by at least delaying that for now, because I was able to develop myself and go into that self-growth. And I don't know, whether someone thinks that's selfish that has kids. I don't know, maybe. But I think I'm a better person in the world right now, being able to know myself better than I would have been, like, having kids 8 years ago and being like, oh, I don't, because I went through this whole self-growth journey. Mm-hmm. I'm a completely different person today than I was 5 or 10 years ago. We all are.
Right.
But my pictures will tell a huge story around that,
Yeah. I don't think that's selfish at all. I think that's amazing. And it allows you to give back to the world and share this story now and impact the lives of other people as well. So, okay, so now let's keep going here. So you started working with a trainer, you started changing physically, you started changing mentally, emotionally. These things started to change for you. So then talk to me about how you got into the actual industry and making this into a career.
Yeah, so I decided at a point that I won't be going back to fashion design. I'm at Lulu. and it just doesn't feel right to go back into that rat race. And I was so much happier.
It's like a year into you Lululemon, or
Yeah, I mean, it probably the first 6 months.
okay,
Or first 3 months, because I only.
so you knew quickly.
I intended to do a holiday season just
Yeah.
as like a carryover, and then get back into, finding recruiters to find me another job back in the city. And I was like, you know what, I've changed so much. This has really changed who I am inside and out, and I think I want to learn more about this. Why don't I get a certification? And I really, what I wanted to do was give back to women, especially to coming from where I did with the body image struggles, and seeing so many other women with it too, and being like, no, I kind of marched to my own drum, the beat of my own drum, right? Now I'm muscular, I'm pretty fit, I'm 180 difference from what I was before. But I think women especially are hesitant to go down that path.
Right.
And they think, you just do certain things to get certain results. And I wanted to give back to other women especially, and teach them, no, there's more that you're capable of that you should explore. And if you want a certain, I don't know, for me it was like how I looked and how I felt is really what I wanted to work on. And I did, but it went so much deeper than that. And that's what I wanted to help other women with. So I got my first NASM, NASM certification. Then I started getting like a Megaformer certification. I taught that for 2 years, and it was just like, give me more. What else can I do? And I got my first gym job, and it just snowballed. I don't know.
Wow.
But I'm one of these people that's like a sponge. Like I just always, I get myself involved in too much. You know what I mean? Like I have a year planned out. What else do I want to study? How much is it going to cost? When can I do it?
Right.
You know what I
right.
mean?
Totally. I guess I do the same thing, and I actually had to take a step back because I was reading too many books. I was doing too much, where I was learning so much that I was overwhelming myself, and I still do that. I'll have to catch myself doing it. Say, all right, motherfucker, slow down. You have to, because you could just now you're just reading and studying and doing all this stuff all day, which is great, but you also need to
Focus.
Focus on. For me, at least, what I've learned too is that if I try, like, I think that it's important to take different opinions from different people and different studies from different people that you respect. But then even if they're conflicting opinions, and then just put your own, okay, what do I really feel about this? Because this person's saying this, but this person's saying something completely on the opposite side of the spectrum. So over the years, you kind of just put this stuff together and form your own opinion on it. And if you do that too much, though, if you have 20 conflicting opinions, then your brain is scrambled by the time you're done reading all that shit too. So it's like, but for me, I feel like having 1, 2, 3 go-to people that you really learn from, and whatever. That's just how I kind of slowed myself down. So I wasn't reading all day and expanding on all that stuff all the time. But, so you started training. Now tell me about your training. So what does your training look like now, and how has that evolved over the years?
Yeah, so I focus on strength training. I mean, work primarily with women that are newer, maybe haven't had a fitness journey or...
Well, I mean for you personally.
Oh, for me personally. Right now, I change trainers. I kind of realized at some point that, when you start with somebody and they expand your world, it's amazing, but maybe that's not where you want to continue to end up or go. So I think I grew past that. And now I have another trainer who's really been getting me into, more heavier strength training. He's having me PR, working on building up my strength a lot with my squats and my deadlifts.
Right.
And
So this is a great point. You are a trainer, and you're working with other trainers.
Oh, yeah.
You have coaches. Super important point, right? Because some people listening to this might say, why the hell, if you're a trainer, why would you hire a trainer? Well, it's because you're busy training other people, right? You don't want to focus on what you have to do. So that's fantastic.
100%. I mean, I'm learning from him. It makes sure, again, like it's in my schedule. I get it done. If otherwise, it would be last priority and maybe not happen. Even though we love to do this, it's just we put everybody else first, too, with what we do.
Right.
It gets me to try other things, learn from his approach and his technique. He's awesome. His name is Cam Plant Beast on Instagram. You should talk to him too.
Okay.
But yeah, I see him twice a week, and it's been great. So
Awesome. Okay, so now you're getting more into the powerlifting side of things.
I mean, we're not powerlifting, but
Okay, more
it's
like
definitely
power building.
heavier. Yeah, power building more than I've ever done.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And how many days a week you training?
Oh, 2 with him, and then I do my own cardio
Got
on
it.
the side.
So you do 2 strength days a week or more?
Yeah.
Or okay, so two
Yep.
two a week. Then how many days a week you doing cardio?
2 to 3.
Got
I
it.
mean, 3. Let's say 3 strength train because I usually do one on my own.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. How do you split that up normally?
How do I split? So I have he has me doing a heavier day on Monday.
Upper body, full body, lower body?
He has me doing squats, deadlifts Monday. We do some kettlebell work, and then the second day is lighter weight, but more upper body too.
Got it.
And then I'll do my cardio days in between, and then on the weekend I'll throw another strength day in there.
Got it.
For like the accessory stuff,
Got it. And how has that changed for you over the years? Like when you first started clanging and banging to now, how has that
When I first
changed?
started, it was like all the time I want to be in the gym every day, doing like no strategy, right? Because you don't really know yet what you don't know. And then later you learn that there's a strategy to this if you want to get certain results, and you need to rest and recover. And that's what we struggle with. Not we struggle, but we have to teach people that they need just as much rest and recovery. It's just as important, if not more important, than the actual work they're putting in.
I think so important now because these days, with what people see on Instagram and on YouTube, they always want to do everything under the sun and they want to beat themselves into oblivion every day. They want to roll around in a puddle of sweat and all that, which is, hey, respect, right? But at the end of the day, you got to back the fuck off if you actually want to see progress because you're just going to fry yourself out. And I think that's a message that I've been trying to spread for a while now because we'll get clients sometimes that are like, oh, I want to do more. I want to do this. Like, dude, take it easy. Take a step back. Do you want to see results or do you want to just get tired? Because there's a huge difference here.
Yeah, and you've also talked about this on your podcast about it's managing stress, the cortisol response, getting your full recovery, taking days off, doing active rest days, managing your nutrition, like managing your sleep. It all ties in, and I think that's not what people see on social media. They see the sexy part of like throwing weights around and looking great, whatever. But there's so much more that's behind the scenes that goes into it all.
Totally. Okay, so what about your nutrition these days? What's that looking like? Yeah.
My own nutrition?
Your own.
Yeah, I mean, I keep it clean. I eat protein every meal. I mean, I come from that Dolce diet background. Love my Dolce.
We took the weight cut seminar or the weight cut course together during this quarantine.
Yeah, I haven't done too much weight cutting, but
me neither. A lot of weight gaining
muscle.
for me.
Yeah, but yeah, clean. Protein in every meal. I don't restrict. I don't cut anything completely out. I don't do any keto or paleo. It's just more common sense.
Yeah, simple.
Yeah.
Do you count macros or anything like that, or you just keep it simple?
I have in the past, but right now I'm not in a phase where I want to count macros.
Yeah,
or need to.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. Okay. So now, so you got all these certifications, right? You were training people. What does your business look like now? How are you working with people? What are the things that you're doing?
So I do primarily personal training, one-to-one. I've been doing, because of COVID, a lot of in-homes, outdoor and parks. We just get it done. We get resourceful, whatever we can. I will be in a gym space soon. That hasn't been announced yet, but it is coming. I will have a home-based gym soon. And I do virtual classes. I do virtual coaching, a little bit of everything, I'm sure, as you do.
Got it. Yeah.
And then I just launched into, we were talking about recovery and wellness. Something I thought would add a lot of value to my clients existing is stretching. So I got a stretching certification. It's assisted passive stretching, and there's lots of different kinds of stretching out there. And I launched a stretch service, so I'm doing also exclusive stretch sessions.
Got it. I wanted to ask you about that. So tell everybody what passive stretching is and kind of what you do there.
Yeah, so passive stretching is when someone is like literally they do nothing. They're on the table, you're relaxed. The point is you're going to get a relaxation effect. You're going to lengthen your muscles, but it's done either post-workout or separate from a workout. It's not to get you ready for a workout. Like a dynamic stretch is when you're moving for your full ranges of motion. Here, you're literally doing no work. And while I love like yoga, I think there's so many benefits to yoga. Some people, if you go to take a class, if you're already very inflexible, the yoga class might not actually help you unless you have a great instructor that's really on top of it.
Right.
You could. It's difficult to get into things, or maybe you're stressing. You're stressing your upper body to be able to reach your feet or something. It's like you're moving your tension around almost.
Right.
When you're in passive stretches, you're just completely relaxed. I'm doing the work for you, and we're holding stretches, lengthening the muscle, getting that relaxation effect, aligning the body, making you feel tranquil, increasing your mobility.
Got it.
All that.
And how long do you hold each stretch for?
About 30 seconds.
About 30 seconds each. Okay. And is this like a 60-minute torture session, or what is that look
60 minutes. Hopefully not torture. I want you to leave
like? Are
feeling.
people tapping out and screaming and crying and shit? Or
No, I don't want to push anybody to the point of
Okay.
pain. Just a point of getting that stretch, maybe a tiny bit of discomfort, but not much.
Okay.
I want people to leave feeling tranquil, like they had a wellness experience. They feel better. They feel looser. They sleep better. They're able to move better, because that's what it's all about. Is just for the longevity and being able to do what we love doing for a long time. And whether
Right.
that's you're lifting at the gym on the weekends, or you're a soccer mom, or you have a desk job, like we all need this.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. And what are some of the most problematic areas that you find?
Hip flexors, psoas, people that sit all the time.
Yeah.
You're shortened here.
Okay.
So getting into that hip flexor is like people just melt in that one. Shoulders, I deal with it too. A lot of the upper body tension, tightness, and the forward rounding that we all get from sitting and working in front of our bodies all the time.
Right.
And calves always,
Now, aside from getting stretched out by you, what are some tips that you can give everybody listening that they can do to work on their mobility, work on their hip flexors, or just are there certain things like if somebody listening to this is sitting the majority of the day, they are they're sitting in traffic on their commute, if they still have a commute, but sitting in traffic, then they're sitting in front of their computer screen all day. They're locked up, they're tight, maybe they're suffering from some back pain. Like, what are some tips that you can give them to help them get out of pain?
First of all, sit in a comfortable chair properly. Like, be mindful of your posture in that chair. Second of all, get up. Don't be in your chair for hours at a time. I had a client yesterday, she was sitting all day. And as soon as I walked in the door, it's back pain. She was sitting all day,
Right.
like barely getting up. So set the timer every hour, get up for 5 minutes. You also use that opportunity to drink your water, take 5 minutes, walk around, stand up when you're talking on the phone. Don't just be in your chair if you can avoid that. If you're driving, it's a little bit different. You're going to have to stop and get out of the car. But yeah, there's stretches you could do at home, even if you're just spending 10 minutes a night. Who doesn't have 10 minutes a night to, they watch in front of the TV and veg, do a couple hip flexor stretches, back stretches, upper body.
Right.
It's a habit, right?
Yeah.
Like we talk about habits. It's something you have to create.
Right.
And it's not that you want to do it. You're not going to want to do it, but you don't want to brush your teeth either, right? But we still do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's just mobility hygiene. Just take care of that
100%.
stuff. I always tell people too, like you said, stand up, sit down, stand up, go take a walk. Do something, but move. But even if you could just work in some basic stretches while you're sitting at your desk, like you could just do like a rolling piriformis stretch, or even if you could take a second to do a couch stretch or whatever. But taking it doesn't have to be a 30-minute ordeal. It could be 3 minutes. It could be 2 minutes. Just address the issue, though. This way, you're not in screaming pain all day. I think that's the big thing here. Is like, yeah, we could say we don't feel like doing it, but at the end of the day, is it worth not doing that and being in pain for the majority? 24 hours, you're in back pain, or your shoulders are jacked up, because of poor posture, and you're sitting like this all day, right? So just taking a few minutes to address that stuff throughout the day, I think, just like it is brushing your teeth, right?
Right. And it's going to keep you doing the things you want to do longer, right?
Yeah.
'Cause, if we start complaining about this pain, that pain, and we do nothing about it, it's not going to make itself better.
Right.
Right. You have to actually take the actions that align with the results we want, right?
Right.
Yep.
So now, you have really transformed your life, and if you know my story, I've come from a place of, drug addiction in my family, and being someone who is really shy and quiet, and always doubted myself, and
Same,
through these struggles that I've faced, and fitness is one of the biggest things, or is the thing that really it led to me changing my entire life on many different levels, right? As it seems like it has for you too. There's people listening right now that they're at that point right now where they want to change, right? Like where you were, where I was. They're there now listening to this. If you had to give them some advice to break through, right? To come out the other side, because the other side is possible, right? Like you're living proof of that. And I want everybody to understand that change is totally possible. But it's not just going to happen, right? Like you're not just going to decide one day, or actually it starts with deciding, but you're not just going to wake up one day and everything's going to be different. You have to put in the work to change. So what in your life, through your experiences, let's define what that work actually means. Like, what is the work that needs to be done to get somebody from point A to point B? And this could be physically, mentally, emotionally, all the above. And I know there's a lot of ground to cover there, but just some bullet points maybe.
I think first step is a willingness to want to learn, to want to change, of course, right? And to approach it with patience and approach it with an open mind, right? Because you don't know what you don't know, and you also can't learn it if you don't open your mind. And if you just think one way is the way, or what you read on a magazine or saw some celebrity news. Like you have to open your mind to what you don't know. Second of all, get a coach. I know you talk about coaches. I've got a fitness coach, trainer. I have a business coach. I know you do. Like it's all about finding the right people to put in your space that are going to lead you in the right direction, that have the best intentions for you, that are educated, that know what they're doing, and then doing what they say, like taking the action steps, whether how small they are, because it's not going to be, like you said, it's not going to be an overnight instant transformation. It's the small steps. It's the habit building. It's as small as getting out of your chair, like you said, every hour, doing a couple stretches. Start there. Is it going to change your body overnight? No. Right. But is it going to make you feel better and you're going to want more of that? Absolutely. And it all compounds. Right.
And just stacking those wins. The value of having a coach, I preach this all the time, because it's the first thing, like, because that's an investment, right? It's an investment in yourself, whether it be for fitness or whether it be for your business, but your life in general. Like, investing in a coach that could take you from point A to point B is one of the most life-changing things that you can do, because we're time collapsing now. It might, if you do it on your own, maybe you could do it, but it might take you 10 years or 20 years, because you're going to progress, you're going to fail, you're going to learn, you're going to go through all this. And now you'll go through those trials even with a coach, right? You're going to have successes and failures, but the time it's going to take you to get to that point B is going to be way less than if you're trying to do it on your own, because the person that's helping you, assuming you have a good coach, right? The person that's helping you has been there before. They've done it. They've had their share of losses. They learned the hard way. Odds are they have coaches too. So making that investment is time collapsing. Making that investment is also giving you peace of mind. It's giving you structure. It's giving you guidance. It's giving you everything that you're going to need. So when people say, I can't afford that, or like, what would you say to those people who are saying right now, well, yeah, I can't afford a coach? Because what I'll say, and not to answer the question for you, but what I'll say is, fine, if you can't afford it right now, figure out a way that you could afford it 6 months from now, a year from now. But in the meantime, find a lower level program that they might offer, right? Because if you can't afford a 12-month mentorship, maybe you start with an online program, or maybe you go to one of their seminars or courses, right? Yeah, it might cost you a couple $1,000s. But at the end of the day, it's going to, if it's business, it's going to make you more money. If it's fitness, you're going to lose the body fat, you're going to build the muscle, you're going to change your life. So whatever it is, whatever you're hiring this coach for, we're really shortening the time it's going to take you to get to where you want to be, and that is worth every fucking penny. But go ahead, answer the question.
I agree 100%. It is an investment. You're putting this money in having the good faith that you're getting more back in the long run. So whether it's business, it's going to grow. When you're putting down that money to say, yes, I'm doing this, that already is a commitment to yourself. Like you're already on a higher level being like, all right, I'm putting it all on the line. I better do this now. I better follow through. So that's already going to push you. I made big investments. My first business coach was like $5K, which was a huge amount of money. I was like, oh, I guess I'm doing this. It was a bad time in my own life, my husband's life. He was like not working to do it, but we were like, let's do it anyway because it was a scary thing, but it paid off, so much, and I made all the money back and more.
There's never going to be a right time to do it.
You're right, absolutely. There's never going to be a right time to do it. If you stop waiting for a perfect, just take the messy action.
Right.
And don't go into debt doing it.
Right.
Try not to, if you're already in debt, like try not to be increasing and adding to that. Do it a financially responsible way. Mm-hmm. And if you said, like, as you said, like a lower program, a lot of good coaches offer different entry level programs that work up to their higher level investments.
See, I'm gonna disagree with you there, Liz.
Well,
because what I'll tell people too, like, so yeah, you don't want to be irresponsible and go into debt, right? But I did take on the debt for myself when I made my investment. I'm like, the debt I'll work this out, right? Mm-hmm. Because this is going to help me grow and make more money and grow my business and help more people and do all these things. So if it's going to get you to a result, a desired outcome that you want that could potentially change your life,
fair,
physically, mentally, financially, whatever it is, I will say, hey, pull the trigger on it because now you're fucking paying attention. Now we're going to get you there. If you don't make that investment and you say, I don't want to get into debt or whatever, and then you're waiting for the right time, like, all right, I'm going to wait a year, but now you're just prolonging a year or 2 years or whatever. So again, maybe your debt might be $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, right? If you don't want to make a $50,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 commitment, but at least you're paying for something. If that means going to debt a little bit, fucking pull the trigger on it. That's what I'll say, at least. That's my advice. But maybe I'm crazy.
I think that's fair too. I've been through and seen other coaches in the space that are like, get them to sign up for the other credit card. Who cares? Get them to max out their credit card.
Right.
Like, that's not me being a good person to
right.
them and being like, yeah, max out your credit card. It's cool. Like, I wouldn't want to do that to somebody, put that in that situation.
Totally.
If it's manageable for you, yeah, great.
Right.
Do it. But what's also great about making investments and take on a fitness journey is that you build the self-efficacy, right? You build this like belief in yourself once you do things that you didn't think were possible for you before. 100%.
Totally.
And that also is a compounding effect. You're like, oh, I did that, I can do that too. Or maybe, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Just opening up other doors. So we talked about having a coach now for a minute. So some of your bullet points to help people transform. Don't expect it to be overnight, you said. Hire a coach. Any other nuggets in there? Any other things you want to give?
Consistency, patience.
Yeah.
It is a journey, and it doesn't always go in one direction. There's, highs and lows throughout it, mentally, physically. Sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards.
Totally. And are there any specifics when we're talking about people who may be dealing with disordered eating? What could they do outside of some of the stuff we just talked about, if anything?
Well, I can't say I'm a specialist in. I mean, I've experienced it.
Well, yeah. What worked for you, at least? Having
a supportive partner and family that wanted the best for me, that didn't, they were critical but supportive.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they knew what wouldn't work.
Right.
With their approach. Like, I couldn't tell you how many people, when I was in the worst of it in college, would pull me aside. Like, the nurse's office in the college called me and they're like, are you okay? Like, the head of my department, are you okay? Is everything okay? Is there anything we can do for you? Like, my roommate, like, they all kind of pulled me aside in different ways and tried to have this intervention type of thing in their own ways, which I wasn't open to hearing it. I was like, yeah, everything's great. I'm fine. I'm just busy.
Right.
I'm just stressed out. I'm busy. which is lie. Like I knew something wasn't right.
Right.
So what else? What can they do? Just open up your mind. Realize what you're. I think what the turning point for me was realizing that I was living in this little box, and how was I ever going to get out of it? Like I was seeing lives play out of my friends and my coworkers, and being like, look at all this amazing things that they're doing, but I can't do it. But why not? Oh, because I told myself I can't do all these things. You know what I mean? Like, I just realized it was all fear-based.
It was the narrative that you were writing for yourself.
Exactly. And it was like, well, because I can't go out and eat and drink, but whose rules are those? Those are mine. Why? Because I think I'm going to get fat. You know? And it's a story that you make up for yourself. And then having that trust in other people that you admire, that you are a coach, or just trying to explore it and realize that it's greater than just you.
Right. Yeah, and realizing that you can change that narrative, right?
Yeah.
Like realizing that just because this is who you once were or this is who you currently are doesn't mean this is who you always have to be. And, I think that everybody has the potential in them. I think that we all have greatness living inside of us. We have this thing, this gift that we could give back to the world. And that looks different for every single one of us. And a lot of times we hold that back from the world. We hold that back from ourselves because of fear. Hey, it's fear of success, fear of failure, right? Fear of criticism. Like getting on this show and having this discussion, like this is something I've never would have done maybe 12, 15 years ago. Like it's something that, or even less than that probably, right? But because you're back then, you're focused on what are people going to think about me? What are they going to say about me? Now it's like, I don't give a shit what anybody says, but that's because it took time to develop that, right? I had to change the narrative. I had to change who I told myself that I was or that I had the potential to become, right?
Yeah.
And I think that if you're listening to this and you're in a place right now, like you could see that transformation, change is totally possible, but you have to fucking believe it. You have to believe it for yourself. You have to start to do. And then once you believe, once you decide to change, then you could start laying down the foundation and building putting those building blocks down to create that foundation of the life that you actually want to create for yourself. And look, this is my transformation has been, I don't know, a lifelong process, but at least, shit, I'm 33 now, 15 years, 16 years, 17, whatever in the making. But it's a journey, right? And I know that the person I want to be 5 years from now is very different from who I am right now, right? And always seeking growth. And I think that most people don't have that growth mindset. They have this scarcity mindset, this fear-based mindset. I don't want to invest. I don't want to put myself out there. I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I can't do that. And you lie to yourself. And that narrative is very different that you have for yourself than what you actually want it to look like. So in order to change, you have to decide first that, okay, now is the time. And it's not going to be a year from, it's going to be right now. I decide I'm going to take that first fucking step.
100%.
Yeah.
That's the real glow up. That's the real glow up.
Totally. Liz, this has been great. I've really enjoyed talking to you. Where could everybody find you if they want to work with you? I know that you're on Instagram, so tell everybody where you're at, how they could get a hold of you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm on Instagram at RedBankRed.
Why do they call you that?
Why? Well, if you're watching this, there's an obvious reason, plus where I live. Funny, that actually came from a fantasy football league. It was a fantasy football league team name that it came up with.
Oh, get out of here.
The one time that I did fantasy football. And it just lived on. So Red Bank Red on Instagram. On Facebook, you could find me at Do Bodywork Fitness. That's a business page. LinkedIn, Elizabeth Murphy. My website is dobodyworkfitness.com.
Got it.
And, I'm at ChillRx Cryotherapy in Red Bank for assisted stretching.
All right. Well, guys, make sure that you head over, check Liz out, give her a follow, give her a shout if you want her help in any of the areas that she can help you in. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Thank you
Thank you.
for joining me today, Liz. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.